Hello and welcome to this video on how to identify and solve negative variance estimates in CFA output. My name is Geiser. I'm an instructor and statistical consultant with QuantFish. In this video, I want to talk about improper solutions, specifically negative variance estimates in confirmatory factor analysis, and I will show you how you can identify those in your CFA output, and then also I will talk about how those can potentially be fixed. So let's get started and let's take a look at this example in Mplus, which is a program for confirmatory factor analysis and structural equation modeling. In Mplus, I fit a simple single factor CFA model as an example. I took the data for this example from the reference that you can see here, Johnson and Wichern, 1998. So they report in their book Applied Multivariate Statistical Analysis, a covariance or correlation matrix that leads to an improper solution when we fit a single factor model. So I use this correlation matrix here as an example. I fit this to 1000 hypothetical observations, and then in Mplus, I specified a single factor model for the three indicators y1, y2, and y3. Now, where in the output of a CFA program would you see that you have a negative variance estimate? For that, first of all, it is important to realize that not all CFA programs handle this issue in the same way. Some CFA programs will not even give you any output or very limited output, and they will say right away something is wrong here, there's a non-positive definite matrix, you're not going to get any output, no fit statistics, no parameter estimates, and so then you know that something went wrong. Now Mplus is not one of these programs that will stop altogether when something goes wrong, but instead Mplus will still give you the full output, it will still give you fit statistics for the model, it will give you all the parameter estimates, standard errors, z-statistics, p-values, and other outputs. So you have to be careful when you use Mplus or similar programs, because you may overlook the problem if you are maneuvering through your output file too quickly. So let's go through this together and let's take a look at where we can see the problem. So after we scroll a little bit, we see this message here, input reading terminated normally. So this may make us think everything is fine. However, this only means in Mplus that there was no fatal syntax error. So nothing in the specification here caused Mplus to abort. The model could be estimated, but this does not mean that you have a proper model with all appropriate parameter estimates. So let's scroll further, and here we see that we have 1000 observations as requested, and we used maximum likelihood estimation to fit a single factor model to three continuous indicators using this correlation matrix that is provided in the book above. And you can see here Mplus reproduces this correlation matrix. In the matrix, you can see y1 and y2 were correlated very highly, 0.9, y1 and y3 were also substantially correlated at 0.7, and y2 and y3 showed a more modest correlation of 0.4. Next, we get the message in Mplus that the model estimation terminated normally. And so this may be a little bit confusing, because then subsequently we'll see that not everything with the model is normal. However, the model estimation terminated normally, meaning there were no convergence problems. So there was nothing that caused Mplus to not converge to a final set of parameter estimates, meaning convergence criteria were sufficient to find a solution. So Mplus did not run out of iterations, for example, and the other convergence criteria were also met. And so therefore we have to still look further, and we have to also take a look at what else is there beyond this message, the model estimation terminated normally. And so then the next message is actually the one that is critical, and that is indicating to us that here we actually do have a negative variance estimate. So it says, warning, the residual covariance matrix theta is not positive definite. This could indicate a negative variance or residual variance for an observed variable, a correlation greater or equal to 1 between two observed variables, or a linear dependency among more than two observed variables. Check the results section for more information. Problem involving variable y1. So this alerts us that in the estimation of the model parameters, one or more parameters were out of bounds, meaning a variance that is negative or a correlation that may be above 1 or below -1. So here it's about the absolute value of the correlation. And so then we need to check our model results section carefully to identify that negative variance estimate. Next, you can see that we get model fit information as usual. So all the usual model fit statistics are provided here as if the model were proper. So again, you have to be careful to not overlook this message here, because if you do, then you may not even notice that something is wrong with your model. The fit statistics certainly don't tell you that there is a problem. You can see here in this case, the model is saturated. It has 0 degrees of freedom, but this is not the reason for the problem. We can have improper parameter estimates also for models with positive degrees of freedom that are over-identified. So this is not what this is about here. So in this case, we have a saturated model because there are 3 indicators and only 1 factor, and that is always something that is saturated. So let's go down. Let's take a look at the model results. And here you can see, when you look at the estimate column where we get the point estimates for our parameter estimates, that we have a negative residual variance for y1, negative 0.574. And so that is the estimate that is offending here. So this is something that is not meaningful. A negative variance, a variance by definition has to be 0 or positive, because it's the squared standard deviation. So something that is squared cannot be negative. Now it can be negative obviously in a confirmatory factor model for technical reasons, but this is not a meaningful, not an interpretable estimate. Also, you can see that it has a reasonably small standard error, so that the z statistic for this negative variance is actually significant at the 0.05 level, and that is also not meaningful because it would indicate that the variance is significantly different from 0 in the negative direction, and again, that doesn't make any sense. So this definitely shows us that something is wrong with our analysis. Now that we know how to identify those variances in this section here with the model results, now let's talk about the causes of that. And so what is the cause of, or likely cause of, a negative error variance? By the way, the most common type of negative variance estimate that you will see in a CFA is a negative error variance for an observed variable. It is very uncommon to find a negative variance for a factor. Now, a negative residual variance for a factor, I have seen that, for example, in a second order confirmatory factor analysis where you have residual variance estimates for the first order factors. I've seen that happen there, but the variance of an exogenous factor as such typically will not be negative in the estimate. So typically what we see is a negative estimate here in the residual variances section. So now, why does this occur and how do we fix it? So one of the most common reasons for this phenomenon is that you have a misspecified model. So when you have a model that doesn't fit the data, then this can occur. And so in this case, the fit statistics here don't help us because the model is saturated. It has 0 degrees of freedom, so the chi-square is 0, so this doesn't tell us anything about model misfit. However, when we take a look at the correlation matrix, we can see that there is a pattern of correlations that is not very homogeneous. So this model implies a unidimensional structure, so the correlations among the variables should be about equally strong. And here they vary widely between 0.4 and 0.9. So we would say, okay, this is a reasonable correlation for two measures of the same factor. Also 0.7 is a reasonably high, reasonably large correlation to say that y1 and y3 measure the same factor. However, 0.4 is pretty small, indicating that y2 and y3 may not be measuring the same factor really. So perhaps y3 here is not such a great measure. y3 is not so highly correlated with y2 and also not as highly correlated with y1. So therefore, this is an indication that maybe y3 isn't the best measure, and the model is misspecified in the sense that it uses an indicator that is not a good indicator of the factor. So then how would you fix that problem? If it's an indicator problem, you could, if you have more indicators, try and replace y3 with another better indicator that is more highly correlated with y1 and y2, if you have that. So that would be an appropriate way to try to address the problem, is replacing indicator y3. Another solution here might be to say, well, y1 and y2, they're so highly correlated. So those are two great indicators of the same factor. 0.9 is really good. So let's just use those two. And that is a possibility. So you can use two indicators for a factor as opposed to three indicators. However, in that case, you either have to constrain both factor loadings to 1 on that factor, or you have to have other variables in the model with which this factor is correlated. Otherwise, you run into an identification problem. So let me show you this. So here we have a proper model specified where f is measured only by y1 and y2, and both loadings are fixed to 1. When we run this model, then we can see that the warning message disappears. So here, when we go down, we can see there's no warning message. It only says the model estimation terminated normally. The model is still saturated. And then when we go down, you can see both loadings are fixed to 1 now. We have a variance for the factor that is proper. We have two error variances that are also positive now, and there's no negative error variance. So that's definitely an option that you have, is to use only two of the indicators, especially if you have other variables that are correlated with f and that are in the model. Then the model will be over-identified also without having more than two indicators. Now, what are other potential reasons for an improper solution? Another common reason is when your sample size is too small. Now, we can rule that out in my example because 1,000 cases is definitely enough for a single factor model with 3 indicators. So here we don't have an insufficient sample size. However, in many other cases, when you find a negative error variance, this is something to think of. So is my sample size large enough for this model? Because improper solutions are more likely to occur when you have a smaller sample, other things being equal. Now, but in my opinion, the most common cause of an improper solution is model misspecification. That could be, in our case, having the wrong indicators, or it could be something where you'd have too many parameters in your model, meaning maybe too many factors, or you have a model that is underspecified where you don't have enough factors. And so whenever the model is not correct, then that increases potentially the likelihood of getting a negative variance estimate. I hope you found this video useful to learn about how to identify and solve negative variance estimates in CFA. My name is Christian Geiser, and I'll see you in the next video.